Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. I never expected a single careless comment to change everything. It was meant as a joke, just a fleeting thought I didn't even think about, a half-second remark on a quiet Friday night. Marcus and I were on the couch, scrolling through our phones, barely paying attention to the movie on. 6 years of marriage had made life predictable, maybe too predictable. Earlier, his friend Jason had dropped by to leave some tools, staying only 10 minutes. Confident, loud, the kind of guy who fills a room effortlessly. When he left, Marcus made a casual remark about Jason showing off at the gym again. I laughed and said without thinking, well, I guess he has a lot to be confident about. Marcus raised an eyebrow, smirked, and asked, what do you mean by that? I smiled and added jokingly, some guys are just bigger. I expected an eye roll or a teasing reply. What I didn't expect was Marcus turning to me, calm but intense, and asking, how do you know? His tone wasn't angry, it was precise, like he already knew the truth and was daring me to lie. That single question hit harder than I imagined. At first I tried to laugh it off. But Marcus didn't. He stared until I realized I'd stepped into a line I couldn't joke my way past. He leaned back and repeated, no, Evelyn. How do you know? My mind raced. The truth was messy, not because I had done anything with Jason but because there was history. Years ago, before Marcus, Jason and I had briefly dated. A few dates, a few nights that didn't go anywhere. Nothing serious, and we'd both moved on. I told Marcus part of it. We went out once a long time ago. That's all. He nodded, silent, eyes fixed on the TV. Then he asked, and you thought it was funny to compare us? It wasn't about size. It was about respect, about comparison, the one thing men can't bear inside a marriage. Marcus stood, said he needed air, and walked out. The quiet after he left was deafening. That night, I barely slept, replaying the comment, searching for a way I could have kept my mouth shut. He returned the next afternoon, controlled, distant, saying only, we need to talk tonight. No jokes. When we finally spoke, his questions were calm but sharp. Why I felt comfortable making that joke. Why Jason came to mind at all. Whether I had ever compared Marcus to anyone else. When I reassured him I'd never cheated, he said, that's not what I'm asking. His words scared me more than anger could. He told me then, when you joke like that, you make me feel like I'm competing for my own marriage. I don't compete for my wife. It was an accusation, it was a line drawn. I realized I had never considered the weight of words the way he did. We went to bed apart that night, backs turned, a silent distance wider than the mattress between us. In the following days everything felt heavier. Marcus wasn't cold, just different. He still cared in small ways, but the ease and closeness we'd taken for granted were gone. On the third night he said, I've been replaying that moment, not the joke, your certainty behind it. I tried to explain it was careless, nothing serious, but he shook his head and said, I don't think you meant to hurt me, but marriage protects more than actions. It protects perspective, words, respect. I realized how careless I'd been, treating years together like immunity to damage. He wasn't asking for reassurance, he was asking for respect, consistently, because he didn't want to question his place in our home. I told him the full truth, about the past with Jason and about my own careless habits. Marcus listened, then said, thank you for saying it. But know this, if I ever feel measured against another man again, I won't fight to stay. I'll step away. Hearing that shook me. Not because he threatened to leave, but because he was grounded, certain, a man who knew his boundaries. In the weeks that followed, we didn't just return to normal, we became intentional. Conversations slowed, jokes softened, compliments carried weight. Marcus opened up about the pressures men face to always be enough without asking for validation. I learned something uncomfortable. Love doesn't excuse carelessness. Words linger. Jason faded back into the background without intervention, because the change came from me, understanding that marriage isn't about avoiding temptation. It's about not inviting it in disguised as humor. Months later, Marcus told me quietly that his question, how do you know, wasn't about catching a confession. It was about checking if I still saw him as the reference point, not the comparison. We stayed together, stronger, not careless. I share this not because it ended well, but because it almost didn't. Damage doesn't always come from betrayal. It comes from forgetting how much your words matter to the person who chose you. Comfort can turn into entitlement quickly, and respect, once cracked, doesn't announce it's leaving. If this story resonated, think about this. Do jokes like this cross a line in marriage? The real lesson isn't about humor or comparison. It's about awareness, respect, and the weight of what you say when someone has trusted you completely.